Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Aida Noor. I'm a biomedical scientist, author and content creator. I'm so excited about launching my YouTube channel, particularly as we are approaching the end of 2022. This year has been I'm so excited about sharing my journey. It's been an exciting one, or let me say it's been a ride. As you might have seen, my title or my logo is I think, I write, I speak. I consider myself as a scientist with a vision. I'm hoping to make a difference. That's why I chose to become a biomedical scientist. So hopefully everything that I share will inspire you or teach you something. That's the main reason that I'm sharing what I'm sharing, which the content that I want to share. I never thought of launching a YouTube channel for several reasons. It's a process actually. When you share content, it takes time. You start learning, you start discovering. So particularly 2022, I wanted to launch the YouTube channel because this year particularly I decided to take the leap of faith, if I may say. I've resigned from my job. I resigned from full-time job. I didn't realize end of 2021 that I was part of the Great Resignation. I didn't know anything about it. It was just when I worked through the pandemic, I reviewed my life. I thought about my life being, I wouldn't consider myself frontliner, but I was part of the healthcare. I was working in the lab. I was seeing all the impact that COVID has, not just personally, but also professionally. That's why I decided that life is too short. I need to do something. So 2020 was the year where I sat down and I thought about my life altogether. And then beginning of 2021, I made a decision, right, I'm going to relocate. I'm going to start fresh, which is a very brave that we just came out of the pandemic. Or even the timing that I had was just, we were still halfway through the pandemic. So it took me a year to process what I'm going through. So 2022, I've made my decision, I've executed my plan, and I decided, right, I'm relocating. I'm going to execute what I've been planning for a year ahead. So that's when I made the decision, right, I am getting out of my comfort zone, and I say it big time. So you might have read in one of my blogs that I did refer to as big time. So I could have started my YouTube channel straight away and documented my journey, but for me, I didn't feel I was ready. I was reflecting and writing, and I was processing it in writing. That's where I was thinking, shall I launch a YouTube channel? Because you might have seen from other people's experiences, some people document it by talking to the camera, but I wasn't ready because I was going through so much. Which I will share with you guys in a good way. I'm not saying a bad way, but there was ups and downs as well. But the ups do erase the downs. So you might have come across this video because you might be interested in biomedical science, or you did biomedical science and you want to know what does this biomedical scientist has to say or has to offer. So, and the good thing is this year I've published my first book. I self-published my first book, which I'm very proud of. It was, I'm out of my comfort zone as well. And that came after 5 years of documenting what I have been going through, professionally. So to become a biomedical scientist is a very long journey. It depends on you, but for me, it was a longer journey than usual. So my professional development led to my personal development, and I was writing my thoughts down. So as I was writing them down, I didn't realize I was journaling for 5 years. I started 2018. So and then when I got qualified, I thought, okay, shall I publish my book? So basically I was sharing my content on Instagram. I'm not a Twitter person. I like pictures. I like seeing who I'm talking to, and I like who talks to me, sees me. So it's just a preference. So I used to document my journey on Instagram, and I used to publish my content. And also I used to like professional photography, so I was fortunate that I had a friend who's a professional photographer and she was starting her journey, so we collaborated, and then I used to publish those photos, and another friend, and so on. I just stumbled across photographers, so it just happened to be I had the pictures and content, and I remember 3 entrepreneurs saw my content and they said, why don't you publish a book? I never thought about it because, again, I'm a scientist. I never ever thought of writing, but I always used to, reflect on things, analyze situations in my life, and I was always thinking. So I decided, okay, maybe, why not? But still, I was still running after my dream of becoming a qualified biomedical scientist. So when I got qualified in 2019, then I was like, oh, okay, shall I just sit down and write the book? So for 2 years, I've been writing. Working full-time is not easy. That's one thing I would say. It's very difficult to have a side hustle and working full-time, particularly in my profession. You work shifts, you work weekends, public holidays, etc. Even though I was working in the private sector, but so I was lucky enough that I didn't have to do any night shift. This is another thing I will be sharing about how is it like to work as a biomedical scientist and at the same time doing your own thing, social life. So fortunately 2020 the pandemic hit, so I took time to process what I've been going through and so on. And then fast forward, the book got published, and I was very excited because I've shared the personal side of trying to get qualified. A lot of people share their biomedical scientist journey, but I spoke about what I have learned and what I have reflected and what were my thoughts at that time. So I was very grateful because actually the more you write, the more you learn. Then I realized I think by writing, I never thought about journaling, but it's just I started buying a planner in 2018, and then 1 year after another, then I started writing and documenting, and then the content creating took another level. And then I wasn't strong enough to launch LinkedIn because I thought, oh, you have to be professional. See, I didn't know LinkedIn existed for 18 years. I knew Facebook, Twitter, and so on. I didn't realize how many social media programs out there. So on LinkedIn, I joined in 2019, and for a year I was on and off. But then when I made the decision in 2021 that, okay, I am going to relocate to the UAE. Well, I was born and bred in the UAE, so it's like going back home. But again, I stayed in the UK for, after I finished university, after I finished school, so I was born and bred in UAE. And then when I finished school, I moved to the UK and pursued my career in science and did my degree, my master's, and worked. That itself is a very long journey. So in 2021, I aimed on LinkedIn I was analyzing. I was very passionate about, I always think about social media in a good way. Like anything in the world, there's a good and bad. So I personally benefited from it, which I'll be sharing more about how I benefited from social media. So on LinkedIn, I started sharing content in 2021, and the feedback was good. Same as Instagram, people started paying attention. And then I launched my first newsletter a year after, which is this year. And again, the feedback was very good as well. So I was like, okay, I have a voice, I can share my thoughts, I can have an opinion. So I was ready to launch my YouTube channel this year. So I'm so excited to share more. I don't want to make this video a very long video. It's my first video out there, so it's quite nerve-wracking to start the first video and have your message out there. But I believe when you have a dream, you don't just inspire yourself, you inspire others. And I think YouTube is a very good channel or a very good platform to I watch loads of YouTube channels. I use it for self-learning as well. So, and I learn from other people's journeys. And don't feel, don't hold back. The world is your oyster. Go for whatever you want to do, but then you have to put in the work. You have to sacrifice. So this is what I was reflecting today on how this year has been, and it can be very emotional. It's a process. Particularly my relocation has been a process, a multi-step process. It wasn't like just leave and go. It was go back and forth, which I'm excited to share more about it to inspire you. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So keep shining, keep inspiring, and I look forward to seeing you in my next videos, and I wish you all the best. Take care.